I watched in paralyzed slow motion as my 8-year-old nephew raised my $15,000 vintage Gibson Les Paul above his head and slammed it down onto the hardwood floor, shouting rock and roll. The sound wasn't musical. It was a sickening, dry crack that sounded like a gunshot inside a library. I stood in the doorway of my home studio, a tray of juice boxes in my hand, unable to breathe. My brain refused to process the image. That wasn't just a guitar. That was a 1960 Les Paul standard. It was my grandfather's. It was all original, the PAF humbuckers, the nitrocellulose finish that had aged to a perfect honeyburst, the Brazilian rosewood fretboard. It was a piece of history. It was my inheritance. And now, it was in 2 pieces. When the body hit the floor, the neck didn't just pop off. The mahogany, dried and aged for 60 years, shattered at the headstock joint. The tension of the strings, which I kept tuned perfectly, acted like a spring. Sproing. The strings exploded outward, flailing like metal whips. The body bounced once, gouging a deep scratch into the floor, before settling into a pile of splinters and wire. My nephew, Tyler, stood over the wreckage. He was panting, a wide, manic grin on his face. He looked up at me, expecting applause. "Did you see that, Uncle OP?" he beamed. I smashed it, just like on YouTube. I dropped the tray of juice boxes. They burst on the floor, soaking my socks in apple juice, but I didn't feel the cold. I felt a heat rising in my chest that was terrifying. "Tyler," I whispered. My voice was gone. My sister, Karen, walked up behind me. She had been on her phone in the hallway. "What was that noise?" she asked, looking up from Instagram. "Did someone drop a plate?" She peered into the room. She saw the juice on the floor. Then she saw the guitar. "Oh," she said. She didn't sound horrified. She sounded annoyed. "Tyler, be careful. You could have gotten a splinter." She stepped over the body of the Les Paul, her foot inches away from the vintage pickguard, to check Tyler's hands. "I'm okay, Mum." Tyler chirped. I did a rock star move. "That's nice, honey," Karen said, smoothing his hair. She turned to me. "OP, really? You shouldn't leave old junk lying around if you don't want kids playing with it. Look at this mess. You need to clean this up before someone gets hurt." "Old junk." I choked out. I walked into the room, my shoes crunching on a shard of mahogany. I knelt down beside the guitar. The headstock was severed completely. The Gibson logo lay face down in the dust. The truss rod was bent. "Karen," I said, looking up at her, "this is Grandpa's guitar, the 1960 Les Paul." "So?" she shrugged. "It was old. It had scratches all over it anyway. Grandpa probably bought it at a pawn shop. Honestly, you should thank Tyler. Now you can buy a new one that actually looks nice. Maybe a red one." "Ist her." She wasn't joking. She genuinely thought she was right. She thought a $15,000 heirloom was trash because it had scratches, patina. "This guitar was appraised at $15,000, I said, my voice shaking. "And your son just turned it into firewood." Karen rolled her eyes. $15,000? For a guitar? Stop lying. You always make up numbers to make yourself sound important. It's wood and wire. It's worth $50. Stop trying to scare Tyler." "I'm not trying to scare him," I stood up. "I'm trying to tell you that you just bought a broken guitar for the price of a car." "I'm not buying anything," Karen snapped. "It was an accident. He was playing. Kids play. If you care about your toys so much, you should have locked them up. Now, where are the paper towels? My son's shoes are sticky from your juice." I looked at the ruin of my grandfather's legacy. I looked at my sister, who was more concerned about sticky shoes than the destruction of a masterpiece. "Get out," I said. I fell to my knees, gathering the jagged pieces of the Les Paul into my lap. The mahogany body, heavy and resonant, felt lifeless now. The finish, that beautiful checking where the nitrocellulose lacquer cracks with age, was now marred by deep, white gouges where it had impacted the floor. "Yay! Good job, Tyler." Karen clapped. She actually clapped. She was smiling at him, trying to distract him from the juice I had dropped. That was so high energy, just like a real rock star. "Stop clapping," I whispered, tears blurring my vision. He didn't play a song, Karen. He destroyed an instrument. Oh, stop crying, Karen scoffed, looking down at me with disdain. You're a grown man sitting on the floor weeping over a piece of wood. It's embarrassing. Look at Tyler, he's confused. You're ruining his performance. His performance? I shouted, my voice cracking. He smashed a $15,000 heirloom. Do you understand what irreplaceable means? Gibson doesn't make wood like this anymore. This came from the original factory. Karen laughed. It was a cruel, dismissive sound. 15,000? You are so full of it. I looked at that thing when we walked in. It was covered in cracks. The paint was faded. It looked like something you found in a dumpster. Honestly, Tyler did you a favor. Favor. I stared at her, clutching the severed neck. Yes, a favor, she insisted. Now you can get a new one. I was at Walmart the other day, and they had these really cool electric guitars in the toy aisle. They were shiny blue and red, and they had buttons that played songs. They were like $100. Go buy one of those. They look much newer than this old brown thing. I felt like I was speaking a different language. You want me to replace a 1960 Gibson with a Walmart toy that plays pre-recorded loops? It's the same thing. Karen yelled. It makes noise. Why do you have to be so snobby? You always think you're better than us because you have vintage stuff. It's just old junk. OP, get over yourself. She reached down and tried to pull the broken body of the guitar out of my hands. Here, let me throw this in the trash for you. We can go to the store right now. Don't touch it. I snarled, pulling it back. If you touch it again, I will lose it. Karen recoiled, clutching her chest. You are unstable. Screaming at your sister? Over a toy? I am not paying you a dime for that trash. If you want a new guitar, use your own money. You clearly have enough if you can afford to waste time playing music. I'm not asking you to buy a new one, I said, my voice dropping to a low, dangerous calm. I'm telling you that you owe me the appraised value, and I'm telling you to leave my house before I call the police. Police? Karen shrieked. You'd call the cops on family? On a child? You are sick. Come on, Tyler. We are leaving. Your uncle is having a mental breakdown. Tyler looked at me. Can I have the strings? He asked. To make a whip. No, I said. Get out. Karen grabbed Tyler's hand and marched him to the door. Don't expect an invite to Christmas. And don't bother coming to his birthday party next week. We don't want your negative energy around him. The front door slammed so hard the windows rattled. I sat there in the silence of my studio. The smell of spilled apple juice mixed with the smell of old wood and dust. She thought it was junk. She thought I was lying. I picked up my phone. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely type. I didn't call the police yet. I called Grun Guitars, the most famous vintage dealer in the country. I needed an official death certificate for the guitar. And then I needed a lawyer. I drove 3 hours to Nashville the next morning. I took the guitar to the Vintage Vault, a shop run by a luthier named Old Man Jenkins, not his real name, but close enough. He had appraised the guitar for my grandfather 10 years ago. When I opened the case, Jenkins took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. Lord have mercy, he whispered. Is that the 60? It was, I said. My nephew decided to be a rock star. Jenkins inspected the break. He looked at the shattered tenon joint. He looked at the gouged top. I can glue the neck, he said slowly. I can refinish the top, but it will never be original again. The break went through the serial number. The structural integrity is compromised. As a player, it might be okay. As a collector's piece, it's dead. He wrote up the appraisal. Original value, pre-incident $15,500. Current value, as parts salvage $1,800. Loss of value, $13,700. The invoice. I didn't call Karen. I sent her a certified letter with a copy of the appraisal and a demand for payment. 2 days later, my phone exploded.
Tire-t-il $12?
Karen screamed into my voicemail. You are trying to rob me. I told you to go to Walmart. Mom agrees with me. You are a greedy, selfish brat. My mom did call. She told me to be reasonable and let it go for the sake of peace. Mom, I said, if I smashed your car with a baseball bat, would you let it go? That's different, she said. A car is useful. This guitar was my inheritance, I said, and Karen owes me for it. The court case.
He sued.
The limit for small claims in my state is $10,000, so I had to file in civil court for the full amount plus legal fees. Karen showed up without a lawyer. She brought the Walmart toy guitar she had bought. She actually tried to hand it to the bailiff as evidence. Your Honor, she told the judge, my brother is a scammer. He had an old, broken guitar. My son accidentally dropped it. I offered to replace it with this brand new one. It plays Smoke on the Water when you press a button. The courtroom was silent. My lawyer handed the judge the appraisal from Jenkins. He handed him the photos of the smash. He handed him the receipts for the original appraisal my grandfather had done. The judge said, looking at the plastic toy. This is not a replacement. This is an insult. The plaintiff owned a vintage instrument. You cannot destroy a Stradivarius and replace it with a kazoo. But it was old. Karen argued. It had scratches. It had history, the judge corrected. And now it has a judgment. The verdict. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $13,700 plus court costs. Karen turned pale. I don't have that kind of money. I have a lease on my SUV. Then I suggest you learn to budget, the judge said. The aftermath. She refused to pay. I garnished her wages. Every month, I see a deposit for $400. It will take years, but I don't care. The family is split. Half of them think I'm a monster. The other half, my cousins who play music, think I'm a hero. I had Jenkins repair the guitar. It has a visible scar on the neck now. It doesn't play quite the same, but it still has a voice. I play it every day. And every time I look at that scar, I remember that while you can't choose your family, you can certainly choose who pays for the damages.